Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing Predator Killer of Killers, directed by Dan Trachenberg, and it is an anthology movie. And it focuses on three different stories, one of them being a Viking era, the other being a samurai era, and the last one being a World War II era. And it's supposed to show how these predators are trying to catch these killers, and they are supposed to build up more of the Predator universe. This film is from the director of Prey, which I really enjoyed. That one was actually a really good Predator film that gave it a new, fresh take on the franchise, which that film takes place in a completely different time period, making it feel fun, interesting, and suspenseful. Trachtenberg did a really good job of that film. He came back to direct this film, Killer of Killers, and is coming back again for another Predator film this year called Predator Badlands. So he has a lot of Predator work that he had to work on after Prey. Even after watching this film, I am still excited for Predator Badlands because with this film, Trachtenberg has done it again. This is a really fun anthology movie with animation that is very stylized in its character designs and the backgrounds. And even though I wouldn't say the animation here is like top tier as much as like the Spider-Verse films, since this film has a little bit of inspiration with those films, because you can still tell that this movie was made for streaming and they didn't put like a whole lot of detail into the animation, but it still looks really good, where you'll still have some shots and backgrounds in the film that look really cool and look like they would be great for either a painting or a poster. In particular, there's this one shot where you see a predator on a hill and the moon is above him and below him is fire from a funeral. And what makes the animation great are the action sequences, and there is a lot, and they are brutal. They don't hold anything back with the blood and violence. You see a lot of heads and limbs being cut off, and it doesn't shy away from any of the violence. There are so many great brutal moments that happen whenever a Viking is like killing people with a shield, or a samurai is using a katana to slowly and quietly kill some people, or when a soldier is in the middle of a dogfight with a predator in World War II. And just like Prey, this movie still feels very different compared to the other films in regards to the different time periods, where with Prey, that movie decided to take place in the 1700s in the northern Great Plains. Here, this film would either take place in the 9th century, where the main character is a Viking in this one short called The Shield, or in the 1600s in the second story called The Sword, where the main character in that story has to stop his brother from ruling the palace that he was raised in, or in the final story called The Bullet, where the main character in World War II has to kill a predator that's killing a lot of soldiers in the air, which really does expand the lore of Predator more and showing more of what these creatures have been doing throughout the decades and centuries. It's the kind of stuff I've been wanting to see ever since Prey came out, seeing other time periods where the predators have been out killing other killers, although I'm still waiting for an Old West one. I do want to see that version. Let's talk about our main characters. Most of them have troubled pasts, they have backstories that made them bitter, and they made them more stoic, except for the one character from the World War II story. He doesn't really have a dark backstory at all. He has one part that does make it tragic for his backstory, but he's not as bitter or as stoic as the first two characters, where that character has more of a positive perspective on the world, even though he was living in one of the worst times in the world that ever happened. But with the other characters, the one from the Viking story has had a very traumatizing past where she dealt with a murder that happened in front of her, and she hasn't mentally recovered from that. That caused her to be very ruthless when she's out killing people, and that causes her to do some pretty dark stuff. While the other character from the 1600s is an outcast that wasn't able to live up to his father's expectations, except his brother did. Their stories are tragic, and you do get to understand why they are the way they are. And when you get to see them do all of this stuff in their stories, they are some of the best moments throughout the film, and you get to see them do some pretty cool stuff. Now, this film is an hour and 20 minutes, which that is pretty short for a Predator film, and all three of these stories are pretty short, which makes sense because they're supposed to be short because they're short stories that are put into one movie. But that can also be kind of an issue because it does rush some of the character development for these three characters, where you don't get to learn everything about their backstory, and you don't really get to feel a whole lot of emotion for them. It's kind of the point where you see them and you learn a little bit about their backstory, and you're like, okay, let's just move them to the main story where they're fighting the Predator. So I think each of these three shorts should have had like an extra like 10 or 15 minutes just to flesh them out a little more. My other issue is that the first couple of Predators they introduced in this film do kind of feel like they were shoehorned in and don't really serve much of a purpose. Like in the sword short, when the samurai is fighting his brother and he's trying to stop him while the Predator is really just hiding most of the time and being camouflaged, until the very end of that short where he comes down and is like, hey, I'm in the movie too, you have to fight me now. It just felt more like a random last second thing that they just had to put in because it didn't show much of the Predator doing stuff in that short, and they thought it would be good to just have him at the end of that in just the last second. Then there is the finale, which, no spoilers of course, it's a very fun finale. I really enjoyed what was going on in the finale. It just had some parts that were a little silly, but if you did them in live action, they would be even more silly. So I can kind of forgive this film for doing that, but at the same time, I wouldn't, because it's really about a character that gets stuck in a bad situation and you think that character's dead at first, but you get to see how that character survives. And the way they did it just did feel a little... it just didn't feel realistic to me. But the rest of the finale is still really good. You get to see a lot of stuff happen and it creates some fun moments. And without giving anything away, of course, there's a moment in this finale where two characters are trying to talk to each other in different languages and they're trying to figure out what they're saying, and that's all I'll say there. Also, you guys stay at the very end because there is one part in the very end of the film that is pretty cool, and it does set up some more possibilities for what they could do for the next Predator film. If you are a Predator fan and if you love the original film, then you are gonna have a fun time with this, and if you love Prey as well, you are still gonna have a fun time with this one. But if you're not a fan, then you might not enjoy it very much, even if you decide to make this as your first Predator film, because you do get to learn a little bit about what the Predators are like, but it would still help if you watch the original film first, just so that you would get a little bit more of an idea of what the Predators are. Now, even though I am still an Alien fan, and I stand by that, I really have enjoyed what Dan Trachenberg has been doing with Predator recently, and I am looking forward to seeing his Predator Badlands film. I'm gonna give Predator Killer of Killers a B+. So guys, if you have seen Predator Killer of Killers, what did you think about it? Do you think it's a great Predator film and it's as good as Prey and maybe as good as the original film? Or do you think this film was not that great and you actually like the Shane Black Predator film more? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Wow, you are one ugly mother...